Coming up on this program, we show you how to get connected. Find out how to choose an internet service provider. Discover the newest form of communication, electronic mail.
Ways down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, they're holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing, if you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for
Hello, everybody. Paisley's brain says, huh? What's going on? Why is it doing that? I hope everybody's doing well today. Hi, Just Grammy, Vicky's here, Shane's here, Mike's here, Cellulite Yoga Pants. Bill had to take off too late for you. I get it, Bill. I get it. I had granddaughter duties today. Had to go fix Nana's TV, get that volume sorted out for her. We did also an impromptu lesson on iPhones at the same time. Practiced answering the iPhone while using the internet, I think like 7 times. Nana always likes to say to me, "You're such a good teacher. You should be a teacher." And I'm like, "But Nana, the proof's in the pudding, and I'm back over here teaching you how to do the same shit. So am I really a good teacher or not?" I'm the granddaughter. My daughter's the great granddaughter. My sister's brother. We don't have any brothers. My sister's baby is the same as my daughter, I guess. The same. What is that called? Also, it's guys' night here at my house. You may hear that. There's loud men in the other room being ornery about things that old men be ornery about. You know, things we avoid in YouTube chats, all that kind of good stuff. Anyways, but that happens every Friday night. I thought I was gonna break into my my one Coke of the day, but I actually thought I'm gonna save it because I think I'm gonna go work out after this. Then but that depends on how good this joint hits that I'm about to light. But in the meantime, I made a cup of coffee. Hi guys, I'm so glad to see you. Whoa, my shirt's disappearing in a bad way. Not a good way, in a bad way. Anyways, we are going back to Texas. I have so much court to make into videos, but I got one for us that we can watch straight out the pew pew. Oh God, they're yelling at me. Straight out of it. And so let's get straight to
We're now live streaming on YouTube. This is just Dulce Madrigal. I'm here in Quesos, Comal County today by Zoom on Friday, November 15th, 2024. At this time, I will call cause number C 2024-1060A. Present in my virtual courtroom are both parents. That would be the non-custodial parent Desmond A. McAfee and the custodial parent Amy Nance. So, Mr. McAfee, let me start with you. Go ahead and announce yourself with your full legal name.
My name's Desmond McAfee.
Do you have an additional middle name?
Hey, Antoine.
Thank you. And then Ms. Nance, same for you, full legal name?
Amy L. Nance.
Thank you. Now I need to swear you in. If you'd both raise your right hands for me. Do each of you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, starting with you, sir?
I do.
Thank you. And ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Before I start with Ms.
She sounds like she's talking fast. She's actually at 1.25 speed. I was about 30 seconds late to start this video, and I didn't want to miss any of it at the end. So the beginning is 1.25. Oh, this I wish was 1.25. I don't know what I mean by that. Maybe 1.25 grams. It's probably more because I rolled it myself. Oh, homemade chicken noodle soup for dinner. Yeah, tell me what you had for dinner. If you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had. We'll pretend like I didn't have two, count them, two McDonald's McDoubles for dinner, lunch. I shouldn't have. Before I knew what was happening, it was happening. I carried them home with me like a little shame dinner. And I sat down and I ate them when they were almost cold, but they weren't. Which is a glorious sort of temperature place for McDonald's food. That's 740 calories, so it's sort of made my decision about going to the gym later for me. You gotta, if you want to eat anything else today.
Coach, and she'll explain your case to me. However, right now I need to tell you a few things before we start. One is that I am not an elected official with a court reporter. I'm actually an associate judge. I've been appointed to hear cases filed by the Office of the Attorney General, their child support unit. As child support associate judges, we don't get court reporters, we get digital recorders. And I just tell you that so you're mindful of it, that everything you answer is verbal, loud enough for the recorder to pick up, the court to hear, no shaking your head nodding. That doesn't record a no uh-hs or uh-uhs. I need more formal yeses and nos. The second part of the recording issues is you heard me announce we were live streaming on YouTube. It is required that the court's open to the public, and we're not sitting in a courtroom in Comal County for the public to be able to walk in and watch proceedings, which is their right and is the court's obligation. So it started with the COVID years with starting with Zoom Court. They set us up on live stream on YouTube as a way for the public to log in and check out the courts that were working on Zoom since all the courts were closed at the courthouses for a while. Since COVID ended, most courts have gone back to their courtrooms. However, the child support courts have been allowed to continue on Zoom, and so we're still doing it. Everybody loves it. However, we still have to live stream as a way of meeting the open courts requirement. So I tell you so that you don't, that you don't know about it, and then you say something you shouldn't be saying, including I'm telling you so you don't blurt out your home addresses, social security numbers, cell numbers, something you wouldn't want out on the internet identifying you, because if you say it, I can't take it back. And then just so that you're aware, the YouTube app is also recording. That's authorized. It's not the official record. I've got that on my recorder. However, they've just set it up that way, but the public is not entitled to the recorded version, just the live version here in this courtroom. So as quick as I can after this hearing is over, I'll go to the YouTube app and try to delete the recordings that have been made so that they will not be out there indefinitely for anybody to watch just whenever. That's not the requirement for open courts. So anyway, I tell you all that so that you know. And also the last part of the recording issues is that you are not allowed to record these proceedings. I've got the official record. If anybody needs a copy, it's available, though you just have to communicate with my court coordinator. And it would be a violation, considered a violation of our laws, subject to contempt of court, punishable by a fine and or a jail sentence. So do not record anybody here in this virtual courtroom or anybody outside observing in. So having rushed through that, Mr. McAfee, do you have any questions or concerns about any of the recording issues that I've laid out?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. And same question for you, Ms. Nass?
No, ma'am.
And then you're wanting to go forward on Zoom today, Mr. McAfee?
Yes.
And Ms. Nance?
Yes.
Okay, then, and just so you're also aware, the four of us on the video screen here, we're the ones that participate in the hearing. I've got a number of people in the courtroom as well. They're allowed to hang out as if we were at the courthouse in a courtroom. They're just staff of the Attorney General's office that help manage the docket or work the docket, and also my court coordinator. So they should not be participating unless me or the AG decide we need help of some kind. So we'll proceed. Ms. Coates, if you'll announce and give me a background or opening statement on this.
Yes, Judge, we're on the suit affecting the parent-child relationship, or petition to establish a parent-child relationship. I'm sorry. The parties have already done DNA testing, Your Honor. The parties have already been told the results that Mr. McAfee is the father of the child. Now, the issue is, Your Honor, this is our third setting. Our very first setting was in August, in which time the parties did do the DNA testing. Then we came back in October. I believe we attempted to do negotiations at that time. However, Ms. Nance then asked for a reset so that she may go obtain an attorney. And now we're here today. She has not obtained an attorney and is going to proceed without an attorney. Now, after talking with both the parties again today, they're still not in agreement. And now Mr. McAfee, after hearing the request from Ms. Nance, would like to consult an attorney, obtain an attorney just at this time, and Ms. Nance would like to go forward today. And so that's the first part of this issue, and depending on what Your Honor orders, we'll proceed from there.
Is it about all the issues or more specific to certain issues, or can you tell me, Ms. Coates?
What I can tell you, Your Honor, is agree to support. It is everything else that they cannot agree to.
Wait, agreed support, like child support?
Child support, health, and dental, everything else they cannot agree to, Your
Agree to,
Honor.
including retroactive child support and custody visits?
That is the main issue, Your Honor. Yes, that will be the big chunk of what's going
Uh,
on.
Okay, start with how old is the child, Ms. Coates, or children?
He's 13. The child is 13.
Okay, and then are we actually talking about a primary custody fight? Like who gets to live with?
No, Your Honor, the main issue is the large retroactive that's being requested, and then the visitation is at issue as well.
Okay, what I usually do when people come back and come back and come back, and I don't want, you know, you're not wasting my time. I get paid no matter which case I hear. However, I know it costs you time and energy to be here, and however, your rights are also affected, and you do want to be prepared or better prepared once you know what the actual issues are. So before today, Ms. Coates, the retroactive issue had not come up or had it, but
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I didn't speak to them last time, so I don't know if that was the main issue. But visitation, what
yeah. Well, I figure Ms. Nance, if she wanted the lawyer, wasn't necessarily go seek retro, but more be custody or visits or something. But let me ask Mr. McAfee, is today the first day you've heard about a back child support request that may have thrown you off your balance?
No, ma'am.
Oh, you've heard about it before already?
Yes, ma'am.
And so just tell me without divulging anything confidential or whatever, you need an attorney today, why?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, I'm sorry, Your Honor. She wanted 13 years of back pay before, and now she wants 4 years of back pay at 26,500. But she has totally denied me, access to the child. She's blocked my phone calls. She's blocked me on social media.
Okay.
And I just want to say, if you were going to do that, then maybe I should be given back pay for visitations for not allowing me to see the child.
Oh, I'm not sure that's how that works, sir, but thank you for raising a unique point that we haven't heard before. Welcome if you're rating. Thanks for being here. Let us know what you had for dinner. If you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had for dinner. Quick synopsis. We're just getting started, so you've come at the perfect time. But this is mom, that's dad, and it turns out they have a 13-year-old that he has not really seen. So, Judge Madrigal up here is going to make heads or tails of it as much as possible. And I would love it if you would make heads or tails of the like button. YouTube Daddy really loves that. He's got a weird thing for it.
Okay, and then without getting into more facts and asking Ms. Nance, I'll ask Ms. Coates. The visitation, is it super far apart on the positions, like no visits, supervised visits versus full standard possession?
Yes, Your Honor. Requesting Miss Nance wants supervised visits, graduated step. Mr. McAfee wants just straight standard possession. So that is
Okay, and
it's
y'all
a-
have not been able to work anything out, especially since this lawsuit started, it sounds like, okay. Yes, Ms. Nance?
Uh, can I speak on the statements that were just made?
Well, I'm trying to figure out if I hear it today or not. So if you want to bring up more facts, I'm not sure I need them yet, but if I go there, you're for sure
I,
get to talk.
I just wanted to tell you that those statements are not true, ma'am. And I know we're sworn in today and we're supposed to be telling the truth.
Guess what? You're not the first people that come in here with opposite sides of stories. I'll get to hear those every day in and out. So that doesn't surprise me. What helps me is if you do have a lawyer who can actually work your case and come in and do a better presentation than you could by yourself, that's what helps me. And I'm trying to make the best decision here as well, instead of having y'all turn it into a big old mess with everybody calling each other liars or disputing the truth of testimony and blah, 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 blah without corroboration. So I get to try to figure out who's telling the truth without any
I
witnesses.
completely understand that. I
Yeah.
just asked that you would take into consideration that The child has only seen Desmond for 1 hour during
Okay.
his
You're
13.
getting into facts I
Miss
don't need
Nance.
yet. Miss
Yeah.
Nance, if I go there, we're gonna get more full into the nitty gritty of it. But why did you want the lawyer last time?
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, ma'am, Miss Nance, yes.
I am just concerned about safety issues. Mr. McAfee does have a long criminal history of domestic violence and family violence. So I just want to make sure that I am going to be offered supervised visits, at least gradually, so that they can, get to know each other, but in a safe environment.
Do you have any firsthand knowledge of anything in his background, or is just stuff that you've heard
No,
outside of
I have court records showing that he has been charged with multiple.
You have court records. Have you showed them to Mr. McAfee or the state?
I have not. I did not think that it was necessary to bring today. I just assumed that.
Ooh, pro tip for you. If you are going to come to court, go ahead and bring evidence with you. Judges tend to need it. Seriously, what a weird thing to say.
His legal background or his criminal background would be already known, but I can.
No, I'm a court, but I'm not connected to all the other courts and all the other agencies that would have all sorts of records, and I don't get to do your job for you and look it up while you're in the middle of a hearing. You have to come prepared with paperwork, and the main rule is if you have a bunch of documents, it's going to be a long hearing because on Zoom it's you got to screen share, you got to identify, I got to say what it is for my verbal record, and then you got to have time to review it and think about it and come up with your defense or whatever. So I don't want to surprise people with paperwork and do it all on my time here, especially if you haven't even tried to submit those at least to the AG, who could at least be the first avenue. But you decide not to get a lawyer after all, Miss Nance?
I'm just not able to get one right now. I'm working and going to school.
Okay, and even if it were a Band-Aid approach, to do something today to hold it over for a lawyer to come in on Mr. McAfee's side, the only thing you would agree to is a supervised visit possibly, or you're not even,
Oh, yes, supervised visits is fine with me.
do you know who would supervise or where or an agency or what kind of supervision are you considering?
Well, I was not aware that there was not some type of third
No.
party, but
There's
You're-
plenty of third-party
Judge.
agencies, but you have to pay for them. We don't have the ability to just say, we have this agency, we'll take care of it. No. Ms.
I
Coates, what-
apologize.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Your Honor. Me and Miss Nance did talk briefly about some visits, and so
Okay.
there we did come up with with a small visit. So if Your Honor were to do temporary orders, I know what Miss Nance is requesting
Okay.
at least. So between now and then, but
Well,
yes.
Okay, well, then let me ask Mr. McAfee, if I have a very limited hearing today to give you time to go hire a lawyer, because she got time to hire a lawyer, now that you know what's really at stake, maybe you should bring somebody in, especially if there's records or backgrounds to explain or whatever. But if I did something in the way of a short temporary order to come back, well, probably after the holidays, you need time to hire somebody. Most lawyers might be on break and takes time and money to hire lawyers, and they might be busy or gone for holiday season. If the state tells me what mom's asking for in the way of supervised visit, at least for starters, wouldn't you want to do something like that, Mr. McAfee, short of zero and just come back with nothing in effect?
I would,
You would?
even if it was me, allowing me to go to his school to have lunch with him. It's just the thing
Well-
was, meeting with her brother, that I don't know. And I didn't want to put myself in a position to where it could be used against me because that's just her side. If you guys had a court system, like a parent, exchange the office or something, then okay.
All those are agencies that are probably either profit or nonprofit, but they have to be, there's fees involved and even sliding scale if there's some out there, but we're in rural counties, so I really don't know if Comal has anything, or you have to go to another county for this. I don't have a list of, I handle 6 counties, so I don't keep list of what's available in each county.
I'm comfortable
Please
with her
figure it
mother.
out and tell it to me. Yes, sir?
I'm comfortable with her mother.
With her mother.
Yeah.
Let me start with Miss Coates. Considering I've gone this far, just help me out, Miss Coates. Tell me what the request is for supervision and whether maybe the maternal grandmother would be a good supervisor or not, or we'll ask Miss Nance about that.
So yes, Judge, Miss Nance was offering one of her parents, but I believe her brother would have more availability. And then she was wanting to do one Saturday a month, Your Honor. However, I had recommended maybe a Saturday and Sunday, given their distance, but she was insistent on doing one Saturday a month and then working up to maybe 2 Saturdays. And then originally it was gonna be maybe 1 to 5 p.m. on a Saturday, but then she was open to maybe if Your Honor were to order one Saturday a month, maybe a longer. Again, that would be obviously open to one of her family members' schedule, but Miss Nance would ask that she not be the one to do that. And so I will tell you, Your Honor, she's asking for a very restricted visitation for Mr. McAfee just because she's reiterated some safety concerns. And so that's why I also believe that this would be a long hearing as well.
Yeah. They usually are, and that's okay how without lawyers, but yeah, it's limited too. I can't give you a day or 2 days or anything like that, even if you get prepared and bring a ton of witnesses. Okay, so why would a parent or your mother not be available on a Saturday, Miss Nance? Is there a problem with that?
That should be fine. I would just need to ask to see if she would be willing and comfortable to do that.
So you can offer her, but not really, because you don't know if she'd be willing to?
I just need to confirm. I'm sure that she would be willing.
Okay, so she knows the child well, I guess, or has a relationship with your child?
Yes.
Are we talking about a boy or a girl?
It's a
Your
13-year-old boy.
son? Okay. And then I heard there was some distance. Do you know which county Mr. at McAfee resides in and how far it is between you all?
Miss Nance is in New Braunfels. Mr. McAfee is in Shirts, so kind of San Antonio area.
Oh, that's not that far, is it? Mr. Shirts, you don't know where she is. She don't know where you are. Is that what the case is, Ms. Coates?
Yes, Judge,
Yeah.
I believe these two don't talk. I believe they're not able to communicate. The only thing they did agree to, aside from the numbers, were communicating app close, but Miss Nance again has a lot of safety concerns, so. But from what I gathered from both, that's where it's a general area where each of these parties are residing.
Did she have anything in mind as far as meeting places or where these would occur?
No, Your Honor, once again, she was saying her brother could do it and that they could do confirm it in the app close. And then Mr. McAfee, sorry,
Me too.
he is another issue is that he's a special education teacher and a coach, I believe. And so that is
Special education teacher and coach of children. I'm gonna be intrigued if his criminal history would be anything as a detriment to to this situation. Also, I just gonna point this out, and this is completely anecdotal, but having watched hundreds of court hearings, probably thousands of court hearings over the last 4 years, the people that sit down and sit still tend to be more stable than the people that move around all the time. Speaking as somebody who moves around all the time on the phone, I understand it, but I'm just saying, there's a definite correlation between being able to sit your fucking phone down and just be sitting in a chair. And then people just flying around, and I get it. I'm one of those people.
That's what's going on, and so he would like an attorney just to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's an unusual set of facts with the concerns you have, Ms. Nance, on, and he's been admitted or allowed to be around in special ed or as a coach. But anyway, so I can't let you go and let you go decide something because you already can't work it out. So if I were to put something in place, I need to decide it here now, put it in writing so you know exactly what it's going to be, unless you all can tweak it by agreement, which most parties can't if they get here this far and haven't already worked something out on their own. So Ms. Nance, starting with you, where would this possibly meeting place or visitation take, even if it's several hours or somewhere not at your home or not at his home?
Well, since Desmond is a coach and my son Kingston really enjoys sports, I was thinking they could meet maybe at a rec center or someplace like that they could get to know each other through playing basketball or football or some type of activity together that would help build their relationship.
Given we're mid-November, do you have I mean, most of those places, I don't know, you can just walk in, but
Yes, ma'am.
especially solo, but where would you recommend if an outdoor court, as if it's raining or cold, which we're getting ready to get there?
I don't know if it would be accepted,
Cool,
but the
exactly.
DOS Rec, do you know DOS Rec in New Braunfels?
No, I assume it's a public facility and the neighborhood is allowed to go in and there's no restrictions really?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to be live in the area or live in the county or the city? No?
No, ma'am.
DOS facility in New Braunfels?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, let me jump to you, Mr. McAfee. How does that sound? Are you willing to do something like that, at least for short term?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Saturdays is 1 to 5. Who's talking?
I'm sorry. I'm at the hospital. I have
Okay.
a
Uh,
situation.
If it stops, fine. If it doesn't, just mute yourself until we talk to you again, so I don't have to hear that background or my recorder doesn't pick it up and I can talk to Mr. McAfee. Thank you. So if it's Saturday from 1 to 5, would you be able to make those hours, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
At the DOS facility in New Braunfels, the state would get Google the address or get it from Ms. Nance. And then, so you meet there at 1 and leave at 5 with you want the maternal grandmother's okay with you, Mr. McAfee, and I think Ms. Nance says she can clear it as well. She won't necessarily be playing basketball, but she'll be sitting close by, I presume. So supervised by the maternal grandmother.
Yes, ma'am.
And once a month, if I give him a couple of months through the holidays to get a lawyer, we don't really advance the ball much, Miss Nance. Why couldn't it be every other Saturday or first, third, and fifth Saturday, something like that?
Well, I am willing to work up to that, ma'am. I'm just concerned about the child's well-being it's completely new circumstance for him. He is a teenager, so he does play sports. He has a lot of, things like that going on, games and practices. I'm willing to do those visits every other weekend, but I think prior to that, from like just turning his entire world upside down all of a sudden and saying like, this is what your plans are now for the next, forever. I think that is going to be hard for him to adjust to, and I want to
I don't
allow
make,
him time to.
no, ma'am, I don't make the facts. Y'all bring them in, but I've never seen it work really well for bonding to just wait once a month and then not have but 1 or 2 visits before I get to see what happened or figure out if it blew up or if it worked. So this is kind of like a testing phase to see how it went. So I would want more, not less. I'm not talking about every day or every week. Yes, I get that people have stuff going on, but we're also going in a holiday period where he's going to be available for some of it. And basketball hasn't shut down, or he's in the basketball team, ma'am?
He's just now starting the season.
Do you have a schedule handy, or can you tell us when his games are or when his practices are that are?
I'm not sure, ma'am. They have not announced that yet.
Well, he's what grade? 7th, 8th grade?
8th grade.
8th grade?
Yes, ma'am.
So surely they don't practice on weekends. They usually practice at PE or after school.
Well, he does play on the school team and also for a select team, but we can work around that, or maybe Mr. McAfee could come to the games. I would be willing to do that.
Okay. So they would start select right now and start playing right now, right around the holiday time?
No, I don't think their first games are not going to be until after the holidays. Yes, ma'am.
That's what I thought. I don't think they set it up that way. Okay. And you don't know what his select team schedule is, including when they start, like practice? They don't practice.
They do practice, I think, 1 day a week. They haven't selected the day yet, but I can find out. And
My memory is it's usually a weekday, not necessarily on the weekend, because that's set aside for family or tournaments.
yeah, tournaments, yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I think we're getting somewhere, but if I ordered first, third, and fifth Saturdays, yes, his world's gonna turn upside down, but you're not telling me he's hearing for the first time that he has a father, or that this is his father. Is he, Miss Nance?
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a 13-year-old. Did he ask about his father, and what does he know about having a father, not having a father, who it is, all the stuff that might turn his world upside down?
So he's wanted to meet him when he was 10 years old, and he asked me to reach out to him, to Mr. McAfee, and I did. And that was the first time they met when my son was 10 years old. They met for a few hours. They started communicating through the phone, and after about a few weeks or a month, my child told me that he felt uncomfortable and that he felt like Mr. McAfee was calling him like over and over and over and over again. So after he brought that concern to me, I told my son, if you don't want to talk to him, you do not have to. I'm not going to force you to talk to him. That, he thanked me for introducing them, for finding Mr. McAfee so that they could meet. And then at that point, he said that he did not want to continue to communicate with Mr. McAfee.
Okay, so I have a history, and it's not the best. However, that doesn't mean, and I'm not gonna tell you that it's okay for the child to decide what should happen. It's for the adults to decide what should happen. And so, yes, I do force the issue. This is not a termination court. I don't have any termination pleadings on file, and those I can't hear here. You're trying, it doesn't sound like you're trying to cut Mr. McAfee out, but you're trying to limit his rights. And I'm trying to see what we can do in establishing and hopefully making it, normalizing it, or getting the child involved with his father, if at all possible. But I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist. I don't do that kind of work. I just hear the facts and try to make the best decision for the child. But again, it's the adult's business, not the child, to decide. So whatever I order, you're required to follow the order and make the child available. Then Mr. McAfee, if there's problems and what have you, it's up to you to smooth the way over to try to get the child wanting to see you and bonding with you. And I guess grandma needs to be in on it, so she doesn't try to interfere or make any, all she has to do is observe visits to make sure the child's safe, but not to get involved in it. So I want to try that first, and I have limited time for you all, and plus the child's 13. There's not many years left, so we can't do this really, really, really elongated, slow thing. There's going to be no relationship left, or time left for a relationship. So anything else you want to say about the visits, Miss Nance?
I just want to make sure that we're not going to make it to be too overwhelming for the child.
Well, you know, I hope so too. I'm not saying this is going to happen daily and that Mr. McAfee can call every day or overwhelm him either. That's not the point. It's just to establish connection again and see where we get. But I
Right,
think
and
once a month is too
and-
far apart for a child of this age. He does need to get used to a little bit of this. It's not the whole weekend. It's not overnight. It's not anything. It's just a few hours. And if it's involves sports, maybe that's the best way to introduce him again. And then I see what happens because I'm not planning to set it off for 6 months. It's just to get through the holidays. And Mr. McAfee, are you prepared or do you have the money to hire a lawyer with? If I let you
I
go
am. Yes,
January,
ma'am. The school
February,
district actually
they do
has
have a
this
plan
program.
where you can hire
Yes,
somebody at a reasonable cost, probably.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you tried yet?
Yes,
No.
I've already talked to him.
And you think you'll be able to have somebody on board pretty quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if I gave you a January court date, you think that would be enough
Yes,
time?
yes, ma'am.
November, December, January, 2 months away would be, we're in Comal. Is there availability on the Friday, January 17th docket or the 24th, Ms. Coates?
She's gonna look for that.
Probably
I'm
the
gonna start a
24th, so there's
poll. Get
another
ready.
visit possibly on the third Saturday.
Yes, Judge, there's two openings at 8:30 or 8 at 10:30 on the 24th.
24th.
Should he see
Okay.
his dad? And then let's say
Okay,
once a
I
month,
didn't hear, but I thought you said,
twice
is
a
child
month,
support agreed to?
and then
Yes, Judge, what they agreed to was that child support would be set at $554. This is based on a $4,000 monthly income. And this is with Mr. McAfee having one other child. Miss Nance will continue carrying the health and dental through her employer, which Mr. McAfee reimburse her at $180 for the $32.50 for the dental. Those would start December 1st.
Tell me again, you cut out for the medical?
180, Your Honor, for the medical.
180, and then dental was 3250
Yes, Judge.
and 554 for the child support.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, and that was agreed to.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Then why don't you call them as witnesses to have them approve for me the agreements that you said they have. I want to hear it from their own mouths.
Yes, Judge. All right. Mr. McAfee?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So first things first, do you agree to communicate with Miss Nance on the free app called App Close? Is that correct?
I agree.
Right. And then with regards to the child support, are you in agreement to paying the $554 a month starting December 1st?
I agree.
And are you in agreement to reimbursing her for the health insurance of $180
I agree.
and dental at $32.50 starting December 1st as well?
I agree.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McAfee. That's all the questions I have. And then
Did
Miss-
they agree on the label of conservatorship or not yet?
They did not agree. That was another issue, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. And then okay, you'll ask Miss Nance the same questions.
Yes. Miss Nance, are you in agreement to communicating with Mr. McAfee on the app close?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you in agreement to child support being set at $554 a month?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you in agreement to continue carrying the health and dental for your son?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you in agreement for Mr. McAfee to reimburse you for the health at $180 a month?
Yes.
And agreement to dental reimbursement of $32.50?
Yes, ma'am.
And then just to confirm, you are asking for your information not to be disclosed for now until a judge does a ruling on it.
Yes, please.
Your Honor, no further questions.
Okay, so we're reserving the issue of non-disclosure, but you just won't disclose it, so we don't let the cat out of the bag before I deal with the issue.
Yes, Judge, because that
That's
will be obviously
right-
as your
Yeah, that
testimony.
seems like the right thing to do. Okay, you got your chance to hire a lawyer. I'm gonna grant Mr. McAfee the chance to hire a lawyer. Now he knows what's at stake. And you've heard this stuff about safety concerns in your background, sir, so make sure you get a lawyer. And I'm gonna want to hear it from you more than from her, but you do need to probably bring, if you can get documents and explanations and what have you.
Yes, sir.
Whatever else you can think of. The other thing I do sometimes, because it's always a he said, she said, that if you bring like a witness, a piece, that would be fine. Somebody who knows you or knows of you or the other person, that would be helpful. I'm not talking about 5 or 6 on each side. That will never get through that, or it's not necessary. And in my court, it's meant to be a volume court with short hearings because I have a bunch of other cases as well. So I don't have the luxury of giving you half a day for one case for all your witnesses. That may have to go to another court, especially if you have a lawyer. But right now, you don't have lawyers. I will bring you back here. I think you both said, or did you agree, ma'am, that you're available January 24th on a Friday at 8:30? Ms. Nance?
Yes, ma'am, I can be available.
And same for you, Mr. McAfee?
Yes, Your Honor.
January 24th, 2025 at 8:30 with the same Zoom ID.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and then what I'm gonna do, since you've agreed, thank you for agreeing to the financial issues. That's usually an hour-long hearing to sort it out. So thank you for that. But on the issue of conservatorship, I don't think there's any dispute that the child doesn't know you very well at this point, and he's 13 years old, and you haven't had a long, consistent relationship with him, correct?
Correct.
And that you and Ms. Nance don't actually talk much or couldn't talk to reach agreements with respect to the child?
Correct.
Okay, so normally the law would want you to be called a joint managing conservator, but because of the issues and I would call it estrangement, whether it's your fault or not, it doesn't matter. It's this child doesn't know you. I'm gonna not point you the joint managing conservator this time, but that's not a final order. It's a temporary order, so you can work your way back to that. So I would encourage you and talk to your lawyer about that. But for right now, I'm rebutting that presumption and appointing the mother the temporary managing conservator. She has a right to designate the child's residence and the decision-making authority. But there's there's a list of things that you can, or you have the obligation or privilege or rights or duties between you all. Now, one of the things, and I'll appoint the father, the temporary possessory conservator. One of the things I'm thinking ahead is that order, because it's a standard order based on the family code, ma'am, it does allow dad to go to school activities and even, I think, to have lunches at the school with the child. So do I have to do something different about that on a short-term basis, Ms. Nance? Is that what you're asking?
I would not like our location of our home or Kingston School to be given at this time. No, I do not.
So you can't even talk to teachers or go to football, whatever football activities you said the child might be at, and he might want to be there with?
I think the sports events would be fine, but I do not feel comfortable with him going by himself to the school.
Okay. Since this is a short-term Band-Aid approach, Mr. McAfee, can you live with, you have the right to attend sporting events, school activities?
Yes.
Okay. So can you revise that one and take out the lunch?
She's a control freak. Control freak. She's super freaky, but not in the good way, baby. In the terribly annoying way. Oh, I hate her so much, allegedly.
Lunch thing and put school activities involving sports. And I assume that there'll be hundreds of people there, and so you wouldn't be alone, so. Okay, I can't think of anything else at this time to change on that. So the conservatorship labels I've just ruled on, and then the visitation, I will accept the recommendation and the actual agreement on the record that it be Where did I write that down? Saturdays, I'm gonna say the first, third, and fifth Saturdays. I think every 2 weeks is not a huge burden on the child, man, for a few hours. And we'll see how it goes.
Could we
So,
just do
How about you just shut your fucking mouth, Amy, and fucking do what the judge just told you to do? Please, you stupid cunt, allegedly.
2 Saturdays a month?
well, I would tell you yes, but most Saturdays don't have a fifth one. Thanksgiving happens to have one, so we don't waste November and have no visits, because the next one would be the 30th. I think tomorrow's too quick. You probably need to talk to the child and make him comfortable with the idea, and then we have to get a court order in place, and it's not gonna happen by 5 o'clock, so that's why I'm saying the 5th, because there is a 5th Saturday in November. There's not a 5th Saturday in December, and you'll be back in January, so that's why I'm doing first, third, and fifth at this time. It's not very much. So from 1 to 5 at the DOS facility in New Braunfels, is that exactly what, it's not the rec center or something else, it's DOS facility?
Yes, ma'am. DASREC, DOS Rec. And it's
Oh.
on Landis Street in New Braunfels.
DAS?
I have the
Yeah.
address and name, Your Honor.
Yeah, DOS rec. Okay, I was spelling it completely different. Okay. Then supervised, to be supervised by the primarily the paternal grandmother or any other competent adult designated. However, don't send your brother if there's going to be a problem. Just try to get your mother on board, Miss Nance, and
So,
that's when that's authorized.
I only said my brother because that is what the child had asked for his comfortability. He said, "Can my uncle Scott be the one?" And that is why I asked for him
Okay.
to be present.
Well,
The child?
your child
What?
knows his grandmother, and that shouldn't be a problem either, should it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, then by the maternal grandmother. And I guess if there's a problem and she can't make it, I don't want the visit not to happen. So if she sends somebody else that happens to be her brother, Mr. McAfee, I'll just tell you to just do it.
I'll do it.
Smile on your face and don't cause conflict because you're under a microscope. And talk to a lawyer before you go. Maybe you'll have time to do that if you have somebody on the pipeline. So yeah, talk to a lawyer first and make sure they they get involved and tell you the do's and the don'ts and the what have yous. Make sure it's a family lawyer that you're getting
Yes.
in the family.
Yes.
Okay. Then custody visits, financials, and reset date, and reserve the non-disclosure. Okay, I think I've covered everything I need to cover on a temporary basis. Did I leave anything out, Ms. Coates?
We
Oh,
want to temporarily leave it with no geographic restriction.
yeah,
That used to be the case, but they say it. This kid's name is Kingston, and they didn't say his last name. I'm gonna assume it's hers, but yeah, she's not using that instead of that. She was the one that said Kingston to begin with. She wasn't protecting his privacy. It's a statement when she says the child. It's very odd. It's like a distancing thing, but I don't know that it's better than my child. Our child would be the best, but she can't even bring herself to that. And maybe this is the truth, huh? That's probably the truth.
you're not planning to pick up and move, are you, Ms. Nance?
No, ma'am. I own my home and I'm there planted.
Well, the restriction was put in place because people kind of finally get around to getting orders and then they say, oh, I don't want this anymore. So they pick up and move to prevent visits or whatever. That's not going to happen.
No, ma'am.
So if I put it in the order, it won't bother you then?
I don't want it to be in the order because what if in 3 years I get offered a better job opportunity? But I am not going to be moving it at
And
least,
that's-
no.
Well, then it wouldn't hurt you if I do it on a temporary basis just to prevent that, because I don't like people picking up and moving in the middle of a court case anyway. You're not moving in the next 2 months. And then whether I do it for final hearing, I will take it up at that time to see, after I see what happens. But I think it would be wise to put it in now since it should not affect you in any way, but it's not a permanent thing yet, okay? You'll remind me that you don't want it, and I'll see how it goes. But it is with a geographic restriction, and it doesn't restrict you just to Comal County. Could be Comal County and anything touching Comal County. So you do have a little wiggle room to move if you have to. So there's a geographic restriction. And other than that, is this a paternity where we need to establish paternity? Yes.
Yes, Your Honor, the parties have both been explaining the DNA, so.
We haven't put it in an order. We need to put the paternities established between Mr. McAfee and the child, and then put the DNA report, page 1, at the back of the order so I can see it.
Yes, Judge, I'm doing that right now.
Okay, and in case they haven't, they'll have a copy of it. Okay.
Courtney, you make me laugh so
Then,
much.
did you have any questions about anything I've done, Mr. McAfee?
No, ma'am. No,
Do
Your
you
Honor.
have questions, Ms. Nance? Do you have questions, Ms. Nance? You're muted, so I can't hear you.
How blissful.
I'm sorry,
for
I
us all.
just was wondering if you could tell me the date one more time for the first.
Absolutely. It's Friday, January 24th, 2025 at 8:30.
Oh, I think she meant the first visit, Judge.
Oh, well, the
Yeah.
first visit would be, I guess I didn't listen to the end of the question. Saturday, November 30th is my expectation. That's the fifth Saturday of the month after Thanksgiving. You're not going to be out of town, are you?
No,
Okay, so yeah, put it in the order that the first visit should be effective Saturday, November 30th, and by then they should have the order in hand in case there's any problems. Okay, it's all gonna come in writing. It won't be 2 weeks from now. If it's not today, since it's Friday, hopefully it's Monday. But anything coming into your email address, to your email box, from the Texas Office of the Attorney General, that's this proposed order for you to review and sign electronically. It'll be probably 15 to 25 pages. It shouldn't be that long as a final order, but it is long because there's a bunch of other things in there, like including even though mother covers the insurance and you're reimbursing her for it, there is a provision in there that we usually don't talk about, but it's standard in every order, 50-50 split of anything not covered by the insurance. So that'll be in there, and there'll be a bunch of other stuff that the family code requires to be in there that are warnings or admonitions or what have you, information. So that's in there. But review it, take your time if you want over the weekend, if you get it today. And if you don't get it till Monday, we'll try to review it as quick as possible. I'd like for you all to review it no later than, and sign it no later than Thursday of next week so that they can submit it to me by a week from today, Friday. And if they have not heard from you, if you've not signed it, they'll send it to me anyway without your signature by next Friday, and I will approve it since I know what the order is supposed to say. I've heard your agreements and I've rendered some rulings, so it is my order to begin with. So try to sign it if you can, and if you can't, it'll come without your signature by next Friday. Does that make sense, Mr. McAfee?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Nance?
yes, how long is the temporary orders set in place for?
Well, I see you back here on January 24th, so at least as long as that, and I decide what happens on that time, whether we go further and do a further temporary order, and see what happened with the visits and see what Mr. McAfee and his lawyer are asking, and if everybody's ready to go to final hearing, it could be final that day. If we're still really starting on the visits, I may be the one that doesn't want to finalize it if I think we should do some stair stepping as we go, and it might last a little while. I've given cases as long as a year if we're starting slow to keep checking in on it and make progress. But I can do further temporaries. I can do a final order depending on what I hear. And we'll have positions, and y'all can tell me what you want. If y'all have agreements, I'll take them. If not, I get to decide everything anyway if y'all don't. So that's just the way it works in our civil society, where courts resolve things when parties can't. So, anything else, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Anything else, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, check your emails by the end of the day. And we'll see you on January 24th, 2025 at 8:30. If one of you is not here, since you're on legal notice, because I've told you in a courtroom under oath, and it's going to come through in writing after this, whether you sign that order or not, you're on legal notice for that court date. So if you're not here on that date, you can be defaulted. So that by default means we go forward without you. You're not here to tell your side. You pretty much lose your case. So it's a civil matter. Nobody gets arrested, but you can be defaulted in a civil matter if you don't bother to come back. And coming back on a wrong date is not good enough. So yeah, make sure you got the right date on your refrigerator door. Have reminders everywhere. Don't forget to come back and hire that lawyer, Mr. McAfee, because I can't keep giving you more and more time, either of you. Okay?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Then Ms. Coates, anything else?
No, Judge, I think that's it.
You don't need them to follow up with any information, confirmation or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
We
Then,
go.
okay, then you're excused. All you have to do is click the end, leave meeting buttons and you're done. And we'll see you in January.
Have a great day.
Thank you. The parties have exited the virtual courtroom. That concludes this hearing.
Wow, wow, wow. Let's close this poll, get these results, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck. Why YouTube Daddy does nothing fucking work. You make a lot of money and you do a lot of things, but nothing seems to ever work. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we asked the question, how often should this child, 13-year-old boy, see his dad? Twice a month, more, never, or once a month? And your answers were 55% said twice a month. You agreed with the judge who issued the first, third, and fifth Saturdays of the month. And that is a standard of Texas. Standard possession orders, the first, third, and fifth Saturday, or weekends generally. And if you look at a calendar, you'll find that there aren't that many fifth weekends in a year. And that's how they sort of even that out. But for example, weirdly enough, because November is a bit of a short month, regardless, it has 5 weekends in it this month. So she didn't make her do it this weekend, aka tomorrow. This hearing was today. But she is making this first meeting happen next week, or 2 weeks from now. And then there'll be 2 in December, and I guess 2 in January at least, before they come back. So I don't think that's unreasonable. I thought that was an interesting hearing. I love the judge. She delivers the shadiest comments with the straightest face sometimes. Like, oh, you're so dumb to have thought that. Well, how could you possibly think that? Is what I feel is coming from her mouth, and what I feel she intends to come from her mouth. But anyways, always love towards the judges. I know it's a hard job. I know people don't come prepared, or they come prepared to fight, like the judge said. And that's such a fucking pain in the ass, because it's the law. So she has to do the law things. Anyways, there'll be an upload for tomorrow, no live show, but Sunday we'll have live members only. Make sure that you keep an eye out. It'll be a brunch early in the day, early. I'm thinking possibly 9:30. I think we'll see. Anyways, remember though, do me a favor. Remember that I love you and I'm proud of you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Ways down and ready to ride.